What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop. We're beginning to wind down this regional facts series as we are now ready to talk about the 6th generation of Pokemon and the Kalos region. Kalos has some pretty awesome facts surrounding it, so without further ado, let's get started. Keeping the trend going from the previous videos in this series, the name Kalos is a direct translation of the Greek word... I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But however you say this word, it means beauty in Greek, which obviously ties into many of the themes seen in Pokemon X and Y. Another trending fact in this series has been the origin behind the names of the various cities and towns of each region. Kalos' cities and towns, aside from Lumiose, are all named after various ingredients that are used in perfumes and other fragrances. Lumiose gets its name from Paris' nickname, La Ville Lumière, which means the City of Light and grandiose. Despite Team Flare being one of the lesser-liked teams in the Pokemon franchise, they have what is the darkest possible inspiration behind their actions. Team Flare's goal of wanting to basically kill everyone in order to create a beautiful world parallels Nazi Germany's attempt to wipe out the Jewish people during World War II. If you think that's a bit of a stretch, Team Flare's Holocaster invention comes remarkably close in both pronunciation and spelling to the term Holocaust, making it unlikely that this similarity is just a coincidence. So I'm sure you're all aware of the story of AZ and his Floette. AZ's Floette, also known as the Eternal Flower Floette, is a special one, as it has a unique color scheme and also carries a special flower that no other Floette have carried. There's actually data within Pokemon X and Y for an obtainable version of this Floette, complete with its own signature move, Light of Ruin. Despite this, however, an event for this Pokemon has not been announced or even mentioned at this point, even as we have currently moved on to Generation 7. It's unknown if this event was cancelled for some reason, or if it's going to actually happen somewhere down the line, but unfortunately the only thing we can do to find out is wait. According to Junichi Masuda, Pokemon X and Y were in development for 3.5 years before their release in October of 2013. That would mean that development began on these games roughly in the middle of 2010, shortly before Black and White were released in Japan. This would also mean that not only were Black and White pretty much completed at this time, but their sequels likely were as well. This just goes to show you how much Game Freak has up their sleeve at any given point in time. Next time you take a look at the Kalos region's legendary Pokemon, Xerneas and Yveltal, take a moment to appreciate them, because their designs took a ton of time to create. Ken Sugimori, Pokemon's art director, is usually always the one to design the legendary Pokemon. However, he was having major artist's block when trying to design Xerneas and Yveltal. He ended up having to call in fellow designer Yusuke Amura to help with the process, and between the two of them it took 1.5 years before their designs were finalized. It usually takes about 6 months to finalize Pokemon designs, so the amount of effort and care that must have went into these two is really incredible. In recent generations, Ken Sugimori has also allowed others aside from himself to design various Pokemon here and there. During X and Y, he called on the services of Atoshi Ariga, a manga artist who has done work on the Pokemon TCG as well as for the Mega Man franchise. Ariga designed 10 Kalos Pokemon, including Pangoro, Inkay, Malamar, the Honedge line, the Tyrant line, and the Amora line. One thing I noticed while researching for this video is that the Kalos Elite Four seem to represent various aspects of French culture. Malva, being a news reporter, could represent modern-day France's pop culture. Siebold, being a chef, would obviously represent France's cuisine, which is considered one of the best in the world. Wickstrom, being pretty medieval in both his personality and appearance, would represent France's history as a medieval nation. Drasna, being a dragon-type trainer, could represent France as well as Europe's mythology. This is also supported by the fact that her grandparents are from Sinnoh, where they taught her the myths of that region. Finally, Diantha, as champion of the region, could not only represent France's cinematic history, but also their reputation as a fashion and beauty capital of the world. Various characters such as Lysander refer to her as such, and she is basically Kalos' poster child in this regard. This also makes sense as to why she is the champion, since the major theme of Pokemon X and Y, according to Junichi Masuda, is beauty. While it does make sense, it's kind of ironic that Kalos' regional Pokedex is the largest of any region with 457 Pokemon, while at the same time being the region with the least amount of new Pokemon added with just 72. Kalos also came directly after Unova, which added the most new Pokemon with 156. And for the final fact on this list, we've got a few really interesting rumors that had been circulating leading up to the release of X and Y. None of these things ended up happening, but it was rumored at the time that 1. Breeding certain Pokemon would cause the offspring to gain different physical traits depending on who its parents were, such as Pokemon who had Pikachu or Raichu as a parent gaining the red spots on their cheeks. 2. It was rumored that there was going to be an item called the Whistle in the game that cured Pokemon of various status conditions like sleep or confusion. And 3. There was another item rumored called the Bondi that was said to allow trainers the ability to see a Pokemon's nature and capture rate in the wild. If you want to see more interesting rumors that ultimately weren't true, I made a video about it that you can check out by clicking the iCard at the top of the screen. And there you have it. If you've been following the series, you know the drill. I'll be back next week with 10 facts about Alola, and if you're new to the series, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new videos. Also, be sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and until the next video, I'll smell you guys later.